Hi, welcome to Lift Kits and Coffee. My name's Chris. In this video, what we're going to do is replace the OEM front and mid skid plate on my 2004 4Runner with an aftermarket 1/4-inch steel skid plate that will cover that whole space by LFD Off Road, and it's over here. I bought that from them. One of the bigger reasons was I've met these guys at a meet in January, and then also they're pretty close to my house, so I could save some shipping money. Like I said, the plate, or the skid plate, is made out of 1/4-inch steel. I went ahead and bought it unpainted. Again, thinking I'd just do that myself. Seems like a lot of people just recommend that you don't paint them yourself, and then when you scratch it or whatever, you can just touch it up with a can of spray paint yourself. So in order to do that, and I didn't make a video of this, but you can see plenty of them out there, just clean prep the surface and then use some etching primer spray all over it, and then you can cover it up with some paint. It took me about 3 cans of paint over 2 cans of etching primer. Maybe you could get by with a little bit less, but I thought I would layer it on there just because the side that's facing upside in the truck, likely not going to get scratched, and I wanted to have a good coat on there for that. Okay, so the first step will be to get underneath the truck and get that mid plate off. That's 4 screws. I don't think it's going to take very much. We'll look at it. If yours has been in the rust belt or something like that, or in some sea salt, this might be a little more difficult. As I have learned over the course of working on this vehicle, it's been mostly driven in the south of the United States, and so I haven't had a lot of trouble with rust. Although for the front skid plate, it looks like when they took it off, they broke off one of the bolts, and most likely because a little bit of surface rust had gotten on the top side of that bolt. So let's get underneath here and get to work. Okay, that's the front bumper. I just wanted to show you where this front skid plate would be mounted if I had one. This is where yours will be if you have one. And so this front bar right here is the front mounting point, and you can see there's that broken bolt that I mentioned before, and I've tried to drill it and see if I could grab enough to get it out, but it's you can see the top side of it in there, and it's just rusted. So we're gonna have to deal with that. And then the other bolt is over here, and I've already test run a bolt in there, so this hole's gonna work. And the other holes are here, and then we got one right here. So those are the 4 mounting points for the front, but I won't need this one or this one because the front skid plate is going to go from here all the way back to here. So it's going to cover what this mid plate covers now too. So the bolts we have to get off for it are hiding back here behind this one is one, and then you can see the other one here is kind of obvious. And then on the back, just go past this access to your drain plug for your oil drain plug, and then there's one here. And then the other one is right here. And so, yeah, let's take this thing off. And that'll be the first step. And then we'll deal with that bolt that is broken off in there. And that'll get us ready for mounting the new skid plate. Okay, that broke off. pretty easy. Must be some oil on top of that one. All right. Let's see here. I think we're loose. I just need to let this, I use the jack here just to hold it up, just so it's me and I don't really have any extra hands around here, so I just use that to hold it in place until I can get the bolts out and lower it down without flinging it on my glasses. Let's see, what do we hung up on here? Oh, they put some little tabs in there to help you put it back up if you were taking it down in the first place, so that's a little helpful. Get this out here. Okay, I just thought I'd insert a shot here of the mid plate I just took off. Stamped steel, and you can see the front mounting points here, and then there's the back mounting points there. The new one is, you can see where the mounting points for the rear are on it, and looks like, you know, they're going to go to here, and then it's just a little bit longer. So this space here that's right there in the frame, that's not going to be covered by this aftermarket plate. And I'm sure that's where an aftermarket mid plate would pick up and go past your transfer case and such. And so I'll have to look at that some other time. But the next thing to do is go get the nut rivet tool and get that hole set up so I can mount the new one there. And so yeah, I got to run downstairs and get that tool out, and we'll get started. Okay, this is the nut rivet tool, and if you've never seen one before, the way it works is you get the tool here, and then you get a bunch of these nut rivets. They're just threaded rivets, and so you're going to drill a hole into the surface you're trying to retap that's as wide, or just a hair wider than the barrel on the rivet. And then you can see that it's threaded. You just screw it down here on the tool, and you'll open up these handles and then push this back through the hole that you've drilled out. And then as you pull the handles back, it's going to pull just the top side of this down, and where these little fins are here, this is going to collapse out and grab the other side of the plate or the whatever surface you've drilled through. And that's how it's going to hold it in place. All right, so I have already tried to just pop that out. You know, it's just mounted in there. There's just a nut, spot welded on the other side of this hole. That's how they created those tapped holes back when this car was manufactured. And I thought if I just banged on it a couple times with a hammer and a punch, it might just fly off. But that is not the case. So those welds are good, and I'm just going to have to drill this whole thing out, and so that'll be the next step. Well, at least we're through. Now we need to get the hole up the size for that nut rivet. I'm glad there's only one of these. All right, the screw that's got to go in there is a 8mm, and for that nut rivet, I need a 7/16 hole, and that's what this drill bit is. So this will be just the right size. Let's see here. Whoa. Okay, it's actually another day, and what happened was it took so long for me to get the old bolt out of this mounting point over here. And if you were watching, you probably saw that I was making some rookie mistakes there and didn't drill a pilot hole first and then go up to my index size. So I finally did that and got the hole big enough, and then I had to like chisel out the old, there's sort of like a barrel up in there that had the threads in it, and it was bigger. So I had to chisel all that out. That just took a long time. So cut the camera off, and when I finally got done, the skies here opened up and just dumped rain on us. So I had to clean up and call it quits for the day. So now we're on the next day. So what we have to do next is we got to put a nut rivet up in that hole so we have something to thread into and mount this side. And if you've never seen the nut rivet tool before, this is what they look like. These are the nut rivets here. They're just a rivet-looking item here with threads in there, and this is the tool that you can get them everywhere. But you just screw this guy on here, and with the handles opened, and then you put that up in the hole you're trying to thread. And as I pull these handles together, what's going to happen is it's going to pull the top of this shank down and crimp it right on the other side of the mount point, and then it'll be securely in there, and then we'll have something to screw it into. So I'm doing this out here in front of the camera because it's pretty cramped under there, obviously, and you really wouldn't be able to see everything I'm trying to do down there. And so I just thought I'd show you out here before I do it. But now it's time to get down on the ground and do it. So here we go. All right, so I'll just pop this guy up in there. You definitely want to make sure you're flattened in. And then you just pull these handles. And then you twist this handle here on the bottom, that unscrews it from the top. And there it is. Let's see if I can get that under there for you. Oops. See what that looks like. So that's actually pretty sweet, the way that works. And so now the next thing is to position this skid plate over here, sitting on my hand truck, and we'll use the jack to hold it up. I've seen some other people recommend that for holding it up in place, just because this thing actually weighs a lot. And then we'll position it down here, and well, the next part should be pretty easy. Let's hope it stays that way. I think that's going to be close enough for the bolts to reach. So without putting it up any tighter, let me go grab a couple bolts and let's start them in. I don't think I said this in the video anywhere, but the OEM bolts that I took out were 12 millimeter. But this new hardware from Freedom Off Road is 13 millimeter. Just so you know. I'm going to leave everything pretty loose until we see what the backside looks like. Well, that was pretty easy. Maybe I'll make that a little looser here, though. Now we just go back, put the back bolts in.
looks like there's a little bit of a gap here we got to reach. So there's going to be some space in here, but the hardware came with long and short bolts, and the long bolts go in the back. There we go, just not lined up enough. Okay. Well, these are definitely going to get a lot of slack. This one's low, this one's high. I don't want to put much bind on it until we get all the bolts in there. So we'll start this guy. All right, I'm gonna run to the other side. Something I didn't mention before is I'm putting some anti-seize on these bolts. This guy here has a little bit of oxidization on the threads inside there, so I'm having to crank on it pretty hard compared to the other ones. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back and forth here and tighten these all up, and then we'll pick up after that.
So that about wraps it up for this video, installing the LFD Off Road skid plate. I think it's a good option. At the time of this video, it was $200, and I was able to pick it up locally here in North Carolina, so I didn't have to pay for the shipping. So that was nice. And yeah, just a couple things to know about that skid plate is that it is designed for the V6 model 4th gen. And so the access plate here for the oil filter, it doesn't line up if you've got a V8. But just checking my one after I got it installed here, the oil filter is just to the right here behind the plate, and I think I can pretty easily just reach up in there and grab it, and with a rag or some cardboard just pull it out and catch the slop, so that's not a big deal. And then the oil drain plug in the back, it does line up, so the hole there does line up with the oil drain plug. It will probably take about a 3 or 4 inch socket extension to reach up in there, so I may look at getting an adapter to redirect that flow through a vinyl tube or something just to make it a little easier. But it's not a big deal right now. Installed pretty easy. I think that if I hadn't had to deal with the broken off bolt up here on the front mount point, just taking those 2 plates off, you might have spent 20 minutes, and if you had all all your tools out and ready to go, you might spend another 20 minutes putting the new one on. And actually, if you didn't have broken bolts, you'd probably spend more time painting it than you would taking the old parts off and putting it on. So anyway, that's just a reference point. Your mileage may vary. But I just wanted to say my name's Chris, and I roast coffee for Lift Kit Coffee. And if you're interested in some fresh roasted coffee, that's what I do. And I'll put the URL down here if you're interested in checking it out. And also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, or like this video, or leave a comment, or ask questions, those are all appreciated. And I do get back to people if you do ask questions. I probably do know something that I picked up along the way here that I am failing to mention right now. But if I can't answer it, I will. And if I don't know, I won't pretend I know. So thank you guys and gals, and get out on those trails and enjoy your summer.